They want to annex it like they did with Crimea. That's what they're attempting to do. And they have, I think, the threat of invasion as you better let us do this or all hell's going to break loose, right? It's like a toddler approach. You're going to give us what we want. We're going to creep in and creep in and creep in. We're going to slowly get in there, take it over, annex it. And if you try to stop it at any point, we have 190,000 troops placed on Ukraine's border, right? So that already is a violation of what Putin had agreed to not do, right? In 2014, like I said, they've been fighting since 2014 because you had these pro-Russian separatists seize all these government buildings and break into these two separate areas that are and they're very, very pro-Russian. Of course, they're made even more pro-Russian because they get so much funding from them. Now, Putin, here's the other thing that you need to know. There's three aspects of it. So that's just the basic area of what we're talking about. The other thing that you need to be aware of. So they had Mr. Pillowface himself. And I love how Putin can himself declare independence for part of Ukraine, for the Donbas region. He can just go ahead and do it. See, it's not an invasion if you annex it. But he tried to give this history lesson from what I was able to get from his quotes, because we were on air when all of this happened. And so I was reading some of the direct quotes that they were putting out. It seemed like he was trying to give everybody this history lesson on Ukraine and justify his decision to declare for themselves that Ukraine is that this particular part of Ukraine is it's ethnically Russian. But and that it's always basically been part of Russia. He wrote this essay at the beginning of the month where he was making this case. And that's not true, though, because most Ukrainians believe that they're Ukrainian. Russians think that Ukraine's been part of Russia. But as I've been saying repeatedly, Ukraine's been its own separate independent area longer as that. It's existed longer independently than it has as a Soviet republic. And for Putin to say, well, they don't want any of these former Soviet nations to be part of NATO. Well, you already have a number of these former Soviet nations that are part of NATO. Latvia is a part of NATO. Latvia is come on, but they want Ukraine for several reasons. But this delusion that they have that, well, Ukraine's already been Russia. It's always been part of Russia. I'm not going to go back into the history and go back all the way into, the group of Vikings that called themselves Rus. We're not going to go that far back. However, that's not what Ukrainians think. That is not what Ukrainians think. And there's a huge history there. But this is gaslighting by Putin at this point. And this is not something, you've had a number of other leaders in the past of Russia that have shared this point. Putin is all about restoring. He felt that Russia was shamed after they lost the Cold War, and so he wants to restore that, and he thinks that this weak administration is the way to do it. That's it. That's ultimately what it is. And this is Europe's problem, by the way. I want to point this out. And the reason that we're discussing it is because it's news right now, and I think that you need to know this because the media narrative is that I saw people going after Glenn Greenwald, suggesting that why is he pro-Putin simply because he does not believe in the United States being involved in armed conflict over Ukraine. That's not pro-Putin, that's pro-America. And I think that that's such specious, idiotic gaslighting from these dishonest hacks who are really War Inc. and they've never seen a conflict that they didn't want to exploit and make bank off of while they invest the blood of our youth to fight their wars. No. Not what we're doing. We're not sending our people over to die for a disputed territory. And I hate being so callously geopolitical about it, but ultimately that's what this is. This is Europe's problem. Maybe Europe should step up, ball up, and handle the situation. Don't sit here and blast the United States like we're America's police, and then every damn time somebody gets out of hand, oh my gosh, let's go get America. America, you need to come and handle this. America, you basically are NATO. You need to go and fund all of this and give us all the munitions and also shed most of the blood for it. No. We've done our part. This is Europe's issue. I saw this thing. UK was warning Europe hasn't been on the brink like this since 1945. Well, that's Europe's issue. Deal with it. Now, this is the other accusation that I see is, oh, that's a Chamberlain move. The United States isn't giving up anything. The United States is not, we're not acquiescing or in this regard doing anything of that nature. This is just simply asking why it is that everyone always expects the United States to send its youth and treasure to go and fight battles that are the result of failed diplomacy. Why should any American soldier be asked to forfeit their life because of the inaction of this administration to input sanctions when they could have? Why should any American soldier here in the United States be asked to pay in blood for Joe Biden's refusal, this administration's refusal to put the brakes on when America could help, whether it was the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, whether it's economic sanctions, there's a number of things that could have been undertaken. War is always the last thing conflict is always the last thing that you ever want. But we have an administration that didn't do anything, and I have to wonder if some pettiness wasn't involved because it's Zelensky and not Poroshenko. If we're crying out loud. No, there is no reason that any at all whatsoever, no American should be at all whatsoever expected to pay in blood. No family should be expected to pay in loved ones for the failed non-effort of diplomacy from this administration.